Welcome, everyone. This is Glenda Dawson, and I'm the host for Tuesday's Cosmic Conversations on the Conscious Awakening Network. I'd like to welcome you and really take this opportunity to say thank you for your support and for being here with us every single week. And if you're not here live, I am very blessed to also have you watch us later on. Now, of course, you could just go to the Conscious Awakening Network website and sign up. It does not cost anything. And all you need is your name and an email, and that will give you access to all of the shows, the podcasts, as far back as I can remember, which is approximately 6 years ago. So you will have access to everything. Tonight we have a wonderful guest, Dr. Gail Skywalking with Moon, who is here to tell us all about herself. And she has so many good experiences that she also had to write books about it. So she's going to tell us all about that. Welcome, Dr. Gail. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Glenda. And thanks everybody for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. So tell us about yourself and how you got to be here because your story is unique, like many of us.
Yes.
So,
Okay. Well, I want to go into my background first is that I'm coming from a medical background. I am a nurse and I worked in the operating room for too many years that I want to disclose. so, but many years, and I worked in the operating room and I specialized in neurosurgery, which is working on the brain and the back, and also I specialized in open heart surgery. So those are the areas I specialized in. And then I decided I wanted to go back to school. I wanted to have a career that I didn't have a ceiling. So I went back to school to become a chiropractor where I could open my own practice, which is what I did. I opened my own practice and practiced chiropractic. Now, during this time, my mother passed away and my dad developed dementia. So I had to retire from nursing and chiropractic to go take care of him because it's awfully hard to work or to have a career like that with taking care of somebody with dementia. So eventually he passed away in 2019. My dad passed away. Now, this whole time, I I've always been a medium, but like a closet medium, or anytime I would say anything about what I was seeing or hearing, because I always knew there was somebody in the room, a spirit, a ghost, whatever you would call it. I always knew they were there. I could smell them. My smell was my first thing I could do. And also as a child, remembering things as a child. However, people, would shut it down saying I was crazy and no, we don't see it. No, that's not it. And whatever that, which a lot of us followed that path. So I didn't think anything of it. So it continued until my dad did pass away in 2019. And all of a sudden I could actually see him. He was on the other side. And within 2 weeks, I was seeing him. I was having conversations with him. We created a special area to sit on a bench beside a river to have conversations about family and money. Usually it was money, money and family members. And this was during COVID. So I had gone into COVID for the first time and was not taking care of anybody at all. And I decided to make my list like a lot of us did, which we were going to do. One of them was to start this meditation stuff. And those were the exact words I used. Let me try this meditation stuff. I don't know how that's going to go, but I'm going to try it. I have time to practice that. Of course, I was going to learn how to speak Spanish and paint my deck. I had a whole list of things to do. Of course, lose weight was one of them, which that didn't happen. And, so, yes. So anyway, after
for none of us, none of us.
none of us. So after we had created this special place that we were talking and spending time together, one day a blue being, she was only about 5 feet tall. She was blue and she had like this head that came up to kind of like a crown and moved like jello when she talked. Well, she came up and sat beside me, and I'm sitting there going, what what is this creature sitting beside me? My dad's not doing anything. He's just sitting over there like nothing's happening, and this blue creature sitting beside me. Well, she was just having a chitty chatty conversation. She was very friendly and very outgoing and just talked a lot. And I'm just sitting there watching, mesmerized by that jello head moving while she talked. So anyway, I had I have to back up a little bit there. Before she showed up, the first thing that happened was I had an angel fly around my dad and came in front of my face and was presenting me with a bracelet. She had it in both hands trying to present me with a bracelet. I was meditating during this time, went flying off the couch because that's where I was meditating, thinking, what was that? Why was it an angel? She was absolutely beautiful, bright light. She was blinding bright light. And I didn't know where to go or who to talk to about what had just happened. I only had one friend that I knew was in the metaphysical world at that time. So I sheepishly went to her. Her name was Meg, and asked her about the angel. And I'm sitting there going, I'm going crazy. Or my big thing I kept saying was, I must have a brain tumor, and I'm hallucinating. That's what I kept repeating. And I need an MRI. And so she kept going, I know you. You're okay. That was a spiritual awakening. And I'm going, spiritual awakening. I'm Googling spiritual awakening when I'm leaving her place because I didn't even know what that was. What is a spiritual awakening? So then, after the angel, a couple of weeks later, that's when I met that first extraterrestrial that came and sat down beside me. I go running to Meg again, going, I know I have a brain tumor. This is what happened. And she said, that was probably an Arcturian that you saw. And so every few days or few weeks, I would meet another extraterrestrial. I met a gray, a reptilian, this red butterfly, all these different type of extraterrestrials I met that came and walked and sat beside me, except for the reptilian. He couldn't sit because he had a tail, so I had to stand up and talk to him. And when I went to her about the reptilian, she was panicked a little bit and she says, whoa, this is a reptilian, beware, da 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 da. I'm going, he was so sweet. His eyes were so kind. His heart, I could feel him. He was gentle. And then so that actually turned her around on her opinion about reptilians. So it kept going like that. And I kept running to her. It took me probably, I don't know, at least 6 months before I was going, okay, if I have a brain tumor, this is the way I want to go. I love this. This is how, if I want to go, let me go this way. And so then I would say this seeing extraterrestrial started in July. And in the 1st of November, I was riding in my car going to hiking with my two dogs. I had two dogs at that time. And we went hiking. And when I got back to my car, there was a mantis being sitting in my passenger seat. And my dogs didn't really react. So I'm not reacting to it. And I'm just getting up and going, okay, there's another ET I'm meeting. And so we went riding, and he was talking about extraterrestrials that were in these type of Area 51 places that are all in the Midwest underground that are housing these captured extraterrestrials. So he was talking about that, and I'm going, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know where it was leading to. And he was asking me if I would be a communicator. And I'm going, a communicator? What do you mean by communicator? He says, we want you to communicate from the extraterrestrials to the humans. We want you to be the communicator. You can talk to both. And I said, I can't even learn how to spell. I can't even learn Spanish. How in the world am I going to learn all these different extraterrestrial languages and communicate it with humans? I just was just beyond me that I was going to be able to do that. And I just, it would just, shock me. I went, okay, so you're going to train me for a couple of years. Well, he was silent about that training for a couple of years. We pulled into a farm on the way home. We pulled in a farm where I like to get fresh vegetables and fruits and things. I went in, and of course I got a brownie. So good luck with the losing weight. I had a brownie. I was eating the brownie, and then I looked at him. I said, "Okay, this sounds like interesting work. I'll help you. I would like to do that." So I said yes to working with him. The next thing I knew, I was immediately thrown into this facility that I was following a guard down a facility, and I could see extraterrestrials, different ones in each room. Like I could see um, a, a, I saw a reptilian, a gray. Anyway, I came up to one of it was another mantis being that was in there that I knew him. I had met him. He was one of the ones I had met before. He was talking to me and I understood what he was saying. And I realized that he was not opening his mouth, he was not speaking, and that this guard couldn't hear what he was saying. And that mantis being called himself Neil, and Neil told me to be quiet, not let them know that I could hear what he was saying. And then all of a sudden, I could hear all the extraterrestrials talking, and they were talking among themselves. So, they were telepathically giving me information at that time, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is how the communication started. I didn't know how that was going to be, but I'm going, okay, this is how I communicate. I don't have to learn all these languages. So, anyway, he told me to be quiet, but I wasn't. I was upset that they had captured him, and I told him that was a friend of mine. They had to let him go. Blah 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 blah. Long story short, eventually we got him out of there, and so that's where my career of saving extraterrestrials from these different places. Now, in the meantime, I learned how to fly a spaceship, and I learned how to do all these healing things, like Arcturians when they're here on Earth. They have breathing problems when they run out of the special cream that they put on their skin. And the Greys, a lot of time, have dietary issues here. So I would go in and rescue the sick and dying and get them out of there and back to their home or spaceship or wherever they needed to go back to. But that the first time that when I was getting when it, let's say I'm going to back up a little bit, but when this started, when I first was going to the spaceship for the first time, I was just sitting in my living room when a gold being appeared in front of me. And I think that was my first time I saw one that I wasn't meditating or I wasn't sleeping. And he was standing there in front of me, wanting me to follow him. And I'm going, follow. Why are we going to follow this? this? He was gold. He was absolutely beautiful. But anyway, I ended up following him. I don't know why. I ended up walking up the ramp to the spaceship, and I'm sitting there going, I know I'm being abducted. I don't know why I'm following them, but I'm following them. So anyway, the guy's name was Monto. He was absolutely beautiful, and ended up teaching me how to fly a spaceship. And then I started learning how to do the rescue missions, from going from a communicator from the people on the ground to the people in the spaceships trying to rescue this extraterrestrials to actually going into the facilities. So all those adventures are written in my first book. And after that, I was promoted to a job of an interplanetary liaison, which was a name I didn't know what it was when they told me, okay, you've been promoted, you're going to be an interplanetary liaison. What is that? But anyway, that was my next job. But I should probably talk about my work on the Ashtar Medical One. My first spaceship I worked on was the Ashtar Medical One. I turned out to be a neurosurgeon on there, where I was removing implants, I was balancing chakras, I was changing brain waves for people who are depressed and or having suicidal thoughts, anger issues. I was changing their brain waves, and I was doing all sorts of kind of work on the Ashtar Medical One. And that was great work. We used a lot of light therapy there, a lot of light therapy. And anyway, that was my work on the Ashtar Medical One. And then I next moved to being an interplanetary liaison, which my second book's about that, and that's going from planet to stars, hearing the complaints of those places and reporting back to the Galactic Federation. And I'll stop
Wow.
there for a minute to take a break.
Wow. 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 This is amazing. So who knows? Maybe we did cross paths in that spaceship, because I was one of the people that held other humans' hands to make sure they didn't get scared while they were getting healed, or implants taken out, or whatever they needed to do. So who knows? Maybe we did. Um, you know, the stuff that they do there is so amazing. And
Right.
yes, there are people that have a lot of negative experiences,
Mhm.
but I don't think that they're all bad. I think there's just like the
Well,
human being.
they've explained those negative experiences to me as
Right.
in that they didn't realize how emotional, how uh, we process things. They did not
Mhm.
realize we were like that, so they didn't know the impact that they were causing on us. So those extraterrestrials, which were the Greys, who were doing that kind of work, they look at that now because those abductions are not happening now. They look at it
Yeah.
as a dark history that they just didn't realize what kind of impact they were causing, and they would have been much nicer or gentler with us if they had known
Mhm.
that. So they're looking at it, they say that's their dark history, just like us having the dark history of slavery. That is their dark
Exactly.
history. So that's how they explain the abduction issues and why they're not happening now is they're now much more gentle with us.
And also it's they humans have to realize that if you put up a fight and you start fighting them, they're going to kind of fight you because they don't realize that they're hurting you.
Right.
But if you just say, hold on a second, like, the first time I was taken up to a ship, I was like, I don't want to be hurt. So we could discuss what you're going to do. We could talk about it. We could maybe come to an agreement, but I am not really giving everything up. So, and I think that's one of the reasons they allow me to stay there and help others. And whenever there was help needed, they would call me up.
Right.
Um, yeah.
Also, people don't realize they always think we are doing them like a favor, like
Hmm.
the survival of them, but it's both ways. It's actually the survival of our species also. So we're always thinking, well, we've got an abduction, they've taken this and that and the other. Well, it's for our survival too, human survival.
Yes. Yes. They're trying to see how they can help us by duplicating some of our stuff to help us in the future.
And
Because
also, yeah, and
I,
survival on
yeah,
this planet. Yeah, because
yeah,
of things that are
exactly.
changing on the planet.
Hmm. Exactly. And then, we're pretty much destroying the planet as it is. So they're trying to slow it down so we can figure out a way how to get the resources that we need without total destruction.
Right.
Right. So now I know that you went to your friend who was calming you down. But in the meantime, from the experience to actually being in front of your friends or talking to her or whatever, uh, did you at any moment think, okay, that's it, I'm going to die soon, they're going to take me out, they're going to take, whatever they want from me? I mean, what
Um,
kind of thoughts?
no, I never had those thoughts because I was helping them and helping them rescue their family and friends and coworkers, from these areas. And I was going in and rescuing the ones that were sick and dying, is what I was doing. I was getting them out so they could get help. But so I was helping them, but it took, I don't know how long I had been working for them. I was the only human working on the spaceship at that time, or the only human looking one on the spaceship. But when my captain one day told me that, and when I was new, he said that everybody who works on the spaceship's a hybrid, and everybody we work on is a hybrid. Well, I walked away thinking, okay, not thinking he was talking about me, but then realizing, oh, I work on this spaceship, so that means I'm a hybrid, and so uh, and a lot of times, well, I would say not a lot of times, throughout the whole time, I would always ask them, "Why me? Why'd you choose me?" And they would say, "Because you look human." Of course, what are you talking about? I do look human. But then I realized because I am a human Arcturian mix
Right.
that I look human and I could do things and get into these facilities that they could not. and I could communicate to humans and know their emotions and things and communicate to these extraterrestrials. So I had things that they wanted and needed because of the human side of me to be
Mhm.
able to do a lot of the communications. And so that that's what, but I did for a long time. It was like, because you look human. And I just go, gosh, I look human. I know I look human. So that took a long time to figure that one out.
I could imagine. I could imagine. Now, when you went to these facilities, um, how did the entrance? Did you get in there?
Well, first, when I started, I was stayed on the spaceship, and I was the one that communicated from in the people inside the spaceship to the people, and we had called them the ground crew that broke in, and
Okay.
then to the extraterrestrials that were caught that could finally
Oh,
connect to them. So I was a communicator between all of them because of my telepathic abilities. I could do that. I don't know why I had that special gift or why I have that special gift, but I do. So I was the one that was receiving the message and sending them to the next and getting it to where it needed to be. Eventually, I was the one going into the facilities, rescuing them. I was unlocking. They used energy, a lot of energy work. They used energy work to even unlock the doors, and they used energy, of course, to start healing somebody, so
mhm.
that we could transport them up to the spaceship. Some were too weak just to be transported right up. So there was every rescue mission was different. It was
Mhm.
there was not one that was, well, maybe some are kind of the same, but basically all rescue missions were different.
Okay. All right. Yes, I was just trying to figure out because um, I know that you may not even be privy to where all these places are, but I figured that you were let in
I,
and
I do know where they are. I just don't disclose all that.
good, good, because there would be mobs there.
I'll say what state they're in, basically.
Yeah, you could still, you would have people going around with metal detectors.
No, nobody's really challenged me on that yet about where they are because I think they're just assuming I don't know. But yes, we know the locations. We know where we've
Good,
been.
good, good for you. I That's a plus. I think that that's actually a safety key for you.
Oh, it is. Being
Yeah,
public is a safety for me too.
yeah, yeah. Because this way you can't just disappear that easily.
Right. That's right.
So, um, now when you finally realized what you were doing, um, did it feel heavy on you, or did it feel like, oh my God, I could actually do something that is empowering and really impactful too?
Yeah, that would be more empowering and impactful and something. Being a healthcare worker, is always, all my life I've taken care of people. I've always, so hindsight, I realized that I have, I guess you would call, been manipulated on what I was doing, like going to nursing school and specializing in what I did in the operating room. Because what did I do on the spaceship? I was a neurosurgeon in the operating room. And then
Hmm.
when going back to chiropractic school, I'm able to integrate all the nervous system and all those things, the muscular, skeletal, and the nerves, along with neurosurgery, and then learned energy work. And the energy work that I learned was from a girl. She lives in Massachusetts, and she became my teammate. And I think she was my teammate to teach me energy work, but also to validate what I was doing. So we worked together for like 6 weeks until she had some family issues where she couldn't do the rescue missions anymore.
Hmm.
She was actually part of the ground team. She said she would not get in a spaceship. No way, Jose. And I love to get in the spaceships. I love to fly. So I thought we would be a team forever, but things happened that she had several family members who got sick that she had to bow out and take care of them. So then I started learning, um, the kind of job that she was doing also. But, the hindsight, I realized they had placed her in my life. They had placed my friend Meg in my life to validate and make me not, accept what was happening. Then they placed her in my life. So I knew I had a partner who was going through the same thing I was. We were both going into these rescue missions. So I had these people helping me and validating. And so, hindsight, I'm going, they just really manipulated me this whole time. So,
Mm,
and also, I've had several regression therapy sessions, and I actually have been going up into Spaceship since I was an infant. They've been taking me up and training me all these kind of things that I could do on these rescue missions. They've been training me since I was an infant on how to do these things. So it wasn't like they were new and I was learning them. I was just now seeing that I could do it.
They finally let you see, and they finally let you understand what
Right,
one of the purposes.
right.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So tell us, can you pick on one out of all the rescues that has been more memorable to you or more impactful?
Well, my most challenging and my most impactful one was rescuing a human who was in the North Carolina mountains hiking, and she was getting ready to run into a group of reptilians who were transformed into humans, but they were out. I would say they were like kind of renegade
Mhm.
reptilians. There's a group of them, and she was going to be running across them. And I don't want to disclose it because it's all. I'm going to pull up my book. I'm going to plug my book right now. It's
Yeah, please, please.
stories and how I learned to fly a spaceship. The stories are in there, so I don't want to give it all away on that story. But that was the most impactful. Is when she was going to be running into these reptilians. She was going to get pregnant by being impregnated by them, and they were going to be dipping her in acid. So when
Oh,
I was rescuing her, I was having the facing moral issues, physical issues, because I knew what I was facing, and it was like 12 hours of planning on how I was going to handle this. And I was discussing this with two different people, how to handle her. My friend who's an energy worker is going, oh, you only need energy to do all this. And my nursing background, I'm going, no, she gets an IV and she gets warming. I'm taking on that first. That's the emergency. That's how I handle it. That's my nursing.
right,
And
right.
she's going, no, just energy. And so and then the woman was asking to let what she wanted to die. She wanted me to let her go. So I had to face all that during that mission. So that's very for us for me to be going through. We went through it for like 12 hours discussing how to handle it, and I'll not disclose how we did what happened, but it was very
Get the book, people, if you want to find out exactly.
yes.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. But no, it sounds like a very fascinating, event because up to now, truthfully, I thought you meant rescuing only aliens. I didn't realize you also had
Yeah,
certain jobs to
right,
rescue humans from aliens, basically, right?
right.
Oh, okay. That's very interesting. Now, do you have a council that you specially go to talk, or is there anyone in particular that comes to you and says, okay, here's your next mission or your
Uh,
next rescue?
don't know where the information from the mission, I'm assuming it's the Galactic Federation, but I'm not sure what voice that's coming in. And the very first day that voice came into me, and at this time I had already accepted I was a medium. I'd been talking to people, talking about their loved ones that had passed and showing them and talking, and I'd already been doing that. So I'd already accepted it this time by then that
Right.
I was a medium. And but a voice came in my head that said, go on a bland diet for 5 days. And I'm going on a bland diet for 5 days. What do you want me to go on a bland diet for 5 days? And I knew what a bland diet was. It's eating breads, pastas, whatever. And I went, and this is still during COVID. And I'm going, okay, pizza. That's the first thing I thought of, but not exactly on the bland diet, but that's what I thought of. And so I did go on the bland diet. I'm going, what the heck? It's only for 5 days. And that's when the extraterrestrial showed up in my living room. And his name was Monto, the gold being that taught me all sorts of things and learning how to fly a spaceship. Now, when I finished with that first mission, I was so sick. The only thing I could eat was bread. So being around in that energy and those extraterrestrials made me that sick. And I was so glad I had gone on that bland diet because I would have been puking my guts out if I had
Mm,
done that. And every time they tell me now to go on a bland diet, I know they're taking me to somewhere where the energy is going to be higher and I'm not used to. And that's how I react, is being very nauseated and only being able to tolerate bread for a few days afterwards. So that was there was, yeah, there's a physical component, a 3D physical component to whenever I started doing those things. You get used to it and then it doesn't affect you as much. But then again, when you get exposed to something different, it's like, here we go again.
I hear you. It's like with me with motion sickness in general. It's I could drive no problem. Somebody drives me,
Exactly
it's
like
like
that.
so
But I
so
don't get
base
sick.
yeah,
I
good.
generally get motion sickness, but a lot of people are affected by dizziness and things like that.
Hmm.
Me, it's just nausea.
Yeah, yeah. Now that's basically what I get. I get nausea, and it's not a good feeling. And like you, I could only stomach bread for a
Yeah.
couple of days. Um, so what else would you like to share? That was one book. Now, what about the first book? Give us a
Well, that
little
was
bit.
the first book. That was
Okay,
what
good.
was about those missions. My
Okay.
second book is about my interplanetary liaison position, where I was going to different stars and planets, meeting different extraterrestrials, and there's all sorts of different things out there, and taking their complaints back to the Galactic Federation. Thank goodness I didn't have to handle the complaints. They did what they did. I was just a messenger. Let me dump this problem on you. Thank goodness. And Earth was the worst. Oh my God, had the most complaints. I had to go to, I had to talk to the owls, the trees. I had to go into the ocean and talk to the dolphins, and all of them had different complaints. Like every other planet or star was like one group I was talking to. Earth, I kept having to talk to more and more and more, and I even kept back. I had to talk to Mother Earth also. Mother Earth was a clay covered looking mermaid to me. That's how she presented herself. And
Mhm.
she took me inside Earth, which I was not comfortable with. I kept thinking I couldn't breathe, and I kept popping my head up, like kept coming up and trying to pop my head up out of Earth, like a gopher popping my head up, and then she pulled me back. Anyway, she was real sweet about it, but I was fine, and I'm fine in space, and I'm fine in the water, and on Earth, but I am not comfortable in the inner Earth. It took me a long time to get used to that. And
Mm.
actually, I had three Native Americans show up after that incident. I guess because I did not pass very well, to teach me how to ground. I spent 2 weeks with them teaching me how to ground after that situation.
Well, good, good. I'm glad that there is help for you since you have such an important job that they can help you back down and help you do what you need to do. Um, and that just by appearing, I'm sure that they get the message, hey, you got to do this. This one is in trouble. Just like you do the rescue missions, they do the healing missions. That's wonderful. Now, Mm, we had talked about it, which I'm sure a lot of people are going to have the same question. The skywalking with moon, how did that come about? Because I could just feel if one person asked already, I know that many are going to ask. So,
Well, Moon is a dog. Moon is my white German Shepherd, and she passed a few years ago. And she used to astral travel with me. When I would meditate, and usually meditate on my couch, and she would put her head beside my head and go with.
mhm,
And so we would go out into the astral plane and sit on the what I called the net around Earth,
mhm,
because it felt like we were sitting on a hammock out there looking at the moon, the stars, and we would just relax out there, and then travel back. And she started doing that probably about 3 months before she passed away. So she became very important on the other side. So that's why it's called skywalking with Moon because we were out there skywalking and it was with her. And so it was no really big metaphysical name to it.
It's still very important because she may have been getting trained to be help on the other side.
She did. She immediately came to me when she was the other side, and she's a shapeshifter. She can shape shift from being a dog to a yeti to a human. And so there, that story's in my book also, is how the first time I saw her as a shapeshifter, when she showed up as a yeti, I didn't know what it was. And she ended up being my pilot. So she, and then my protector. So she was extremely important on the other side when she went there. So yes, there was a reason for all that. And I'm sitting there going, and she was only a dog on my side. And she has this big important role, and she was more skilled than I was. Like she'd been doing it. Like I guess she had volunteered to come in a dog form to help me, but
Mhm.
it seemed so beneath her from what she said.
Well, it's the way you look at it. It was probably an honor for her because
Yeah,
she was helping somebody that was important and training you without you even realizing that she
exactly.
was training you.
Yeah, she was.
So it's wonderful. Um, Now before we go, anybody have any questions or comments? Susie, you raised your hand? Sure.
Yeah, this is so fascinating. The fact that you were in your like a medical career, two careers medically here, I'm wondering as you went, I just think it's fascinating because I did everything on Gaia TV about on cosmic disclosure, but there wasn't anybody helping the ETs. They were in cages and stuff, them trying to figure out how. So this is so cool, but how did you know? Did you get downloads of how their bodies were different than the physique that you were used to humans, or I mean, was it like an instant thing, or did you have to grow into the knowledge? I mean, this is so cool.
Well, both was kind of instant because having such a strong medical past, you kind of react. But there were the little details, like as I said, the Arcturians needed a special cream to put all over their body to breathe on Earth. When they first handed me the cream that I was to take with me, I was going, "Where are the directions? What do I do with this?" I didn't know what to do with it. So there's things like that that would happen, and the Arcturian was sitting there going, "Yes, give me that cream," kind of, so there were things like that. And I was also really, I really did a lot with the hybrid program too.
Yeah,
My first hybrid babies that I delivered was for they were C-section, and they both needed transfusions, blood transfusions to survive. So there's a lot of work that I did with that. Um, so, but yeah, there's a whole, this is it's amazing how much work I've done with them.
it's just so cool to hear. I mean, really, so thank you for your service because I mean, really, we didn't know there was people helping you guys, helping the ET guys. So thank you. This is beautiful,
All right,
beautiful.
thank you.
Somebody has a question. You have a southern accent. Where are you from Earth on Earth?
I'm in the Southeast right now. I'm in North Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
I lived in Mount Shasta for 2 years. You talk about being the oddball with a Southern accent there. Me coming in talking about extraterrestrials with a Southern accent, you know how crazy they thought I was, even in Mount Shasta.
Hey, when you were in Mount Shasta, did you meet Skywalker?
No,
Oh, he's been there for 50 years. I almost married him. I've been there twice for Vision Quest, but you might want to look him up. He's a Skywalker too. Very beautiful.
and how can we know when we run into an ET?
how do you know when you run into an ET?
That was the question on the chat there.
I don't really know how to answer that because I am so bad at that myself. The first time that I had two ETs show up at a dog park. I was at a dog park with my dog, and two ETs showed up. Now I thought these is a brother and sister, and I'm going, "Woo, they're on the spectrum," and they were just so odd and odd acting, and but there was some strange thing that was happening, and they were telepathically reading my mind because they walked in and they left the gates open, and in my mind I'm going, gosh, I need to close those gates, the dog can run out. Well, immediately they ran back and closed the gate, and then the girl came and sat right next to me, and in my mind I'm going, wow, there's other places to sit, why is she sitting next to me? And she pops up and she runs over and sits at a different area. And then the next thing, she starts throwing the ball for my dog, and my dog was going after it. My dog never goes after a ball, much less bring it back to you. And I thought, I'm sitting there going, holy crap, my dog's going to have a heart attack. She keeps going like that. And so she stopped immediately. And it was warm outside. And their conversation between the two of them, they started talking about jackets and coats. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, this conversation is going off the rails. We're the only three out here. I'm getting out of here. I don't know what's going to happen. So by the time I left and thought about it, and then the next morning I realized I had said 2 weeks before that, I'm ready to meet an extraterrestrial. Don't scare me. That
Uh-huh.
out there. And that's what they sent me. They sent me two human-looking extraterrestrials that only could keep it together for a few minutes before their kind of conversations and everything started falling apart. But yeah, but I'm not the greatest at knowing who I'm meeting because they're all around us and they're
Mhm.
all in our families, intertwined in our families. And that's the disclosure now is how it's going to happen is that we have family members that are extraterrestrials or hybrids or walk-ins or whatever, and we're already love them, accept them how they are now. And so when they start revealing themselves, and everybody's starting to reveal who they are, just like me, they're already loved by their family members, so they're accepted. So that's going to be an easier way for the extraterrestrials to disclose themselves by going to the ones disclosing the ones that are already in families that are already being loved, so that's an easier disclosure before the big reveal happens.
Very true. Very true. Ronnie, here you go.
Thanks. I couldn't find that unmute.
I
Okay.
know.
You brought up some things that I've got several little questions.
Okay.
Are spacecrafts stick shift or automatic?
Spacecrafts?
Yeah.
They're not, neither.
Me?
They're neither. They're
What
controlled
are they?
by your mind. You're looking for a steering wheel or they don't exist. And that is the hardest things for humans to learn is how, and I made a lot of mistakes. And one of the biggest mistakes I made was when you're trying to control your mind, trying to go in the direction, trying not to get all this other extra stuff coming in your mind. And what came in my mind was, I wonder what that mouse looks like on Earth or that ant looks like on Earth. Yeah, kind of. But yeah, so it's learning your conscious because the spaceship's almost like alive, like your partners. It's not like a car or whatever. It's not like driving a steering wheel and a stick shift. Your partners in that wherever you're going.
Okay. Now you also were talking about these people in the jail or prison. You realized they were talking to you through telepathy.
Mhm.
Did any of them ever use light language with you?
I have not used light language um, because my strength is telepathic communication. That's my strength. I haven't used hand signals, but I don't use that verbal light language. I've not known myself to do that. The thing that I have the ability to, and I'm also a shapeshifter, I have the ability to transform into their shape or their whatever being it is and talk to them like that. So I've never really done light language.
One more and I'm done so these other people can get their questions answered. Okay. You mentioned walk-ins. Are walk-ins ETs?
No, I don't think all of them are. I just think it's an energy that's a walk in, but a lot of them can be ETs.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for the questions.
Thank you.
All right. Doug.
Hey, interesting conversation. Sorry, I missed the first part. I wasn't paying attention at the time. So I'm interested in telepathy. That's cool because I'm an engineer, quantum Doug, as you can guess. And but I'm working on a model of what's called existons. And if you go to the Thursday night talks, I've done 3 talks in the last month with Phil on existons. And so
Where's that?
existons are the primitive unit of consciousness in the universe at the lowest level below physics. And so, so I believe that therefore all matter is made out of existons. And so you can have conscious matter. And so I've been thinking, and I've asked questions out loud to people, if conscious spaceships would be made out of existons, because then they would be conscious. And so these are the kinds of conversations and questions I'm asking as a conscious engineer, consciousness engineer. So
Quantum Doug,
mhm.
my background is medical. I'm very
Yep.
science oriented. So
Great.
me going in the metaphysical world has just been this huge leap. And I've been
Yeah.
only doing this for about 5 years. So
Okay.
I can talk your level much easier than I can talk metaphysical.
Yeah. Well, to
But-
me, there is a spirited science, right? Science and spirit coming together, and I call it source science.
Right.
But I've been working on it for over 30 years, right?
But
back
what you're saying makes so much sense to me.
Yeah. Back in March, I said I need a better name for what I'm working on. So I said, well, it's the essence of existence, and they helped me come up with the idea of existons. It's the English version of what their name is in light language. And again, so existons, essentially, it says, look, if the whole universe is information, and that information has a representation that is both supports physicality of the physical universe, but it's also consciousness, and it's at the smallest discrete unit of both of those, and it's simultaneously both of those, then everything would be conscious. And that's how you would build conscious spaceships. So if you're interested in talking science with anybody about that, please reach out to me, Doug at quantumdoug.com. Or I'm just quantumdoug.com. Quantumdoug.com is my link, and there's all my emails and stuff like that, and all my talks about existons and stuff. So
quantumdoug.com. And is that your email that you're talking about?
and then Doug at quantumdoug.com is my email.
Okay.
I mean, I'm interested in science and spirit people. Like I'm interested in Tom Campbell because he's a physicist who's interested in astral projection, right? Out of body experiences, right? And stuff like that. But I'm interested, but it turns out existons are the lowest layer in the universe for all consciousness.
So what you're
Most
saying,
people don't pay attention to them.
that we have not discovered that yet. Humans have not discovered that yet. You have had that transmission of that existence that is occurring, which totally makes sense that we haven't even tapped into that yet. So we don't have those abilities that they have.
Yeah. And it's just like everybody's worrying about angels and walk-ins and celestial beings and all this stuff. But there's this lower level, like if you didn't have light, you couldn't build art, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing. If you don't have existons, you can't build a universe.
Right.
And so anyhow, as a scientist, I'm interested in telepathy and existons as a basis for that, and consciousness as part of that as well. So please, if you're interested in talking science about that stuff, reach out to me.
I am very interested in talking science about that, but mine is more medical based. But
that's fine.
And when you could go physics, oh gosh, physics. Those are the hardest courses I took in school.
Well, but see, the thing I'm thinking is that if you look at it this way, is that you just know stuff, right?
Right.
As a result of your interacting telepathically and through all the messages that you're getting, right? And so if you ask the question, you can get knowing, and that's how they've been interacting with me claircognizantly for 30 years.
Okay.
That's how I know it. So I'm saying you're smart enough and clairvoyant enough or telepathic enough that you could tap into them as well.
Oh, definitely.
If you chose to, and
well, my thing is knowing the questions to ask.
Yeah, and that's what I'm good at. So and so there's a primary lady who's also on this cosmic consciousness group, cosmic conversations group, Fallon. She's the primary channel right now for the existons, but that doesn't mean we all can't join in the fun. So
Okay.
Yeah. So
Thank
anyhow,
you, Doug.
but it's just directly related to your comment about conscious spaceships
Hmm.
that intrigued me to speak up. So that was my 2 cents to your conversation. So thanks for sharing that. And it sounds like I'm going to have to get your book. So
Very good. Thank you,
Yeah.
Doug.
Yeah. Thanks,
thank
Dave,
you.
for meeting you. Very interesting.
I think now Ashley needed to go.
Okay, there it goes. So I was listening, and I've always been interested when you talk about over the years of how people have been taken up to ships, willingly, unwillingly, in between, and how you save the human. Is there a certain trait they look for when they take humans or work on humans or whatever they do? Is there a certain human they're looking for? Is it just random? How does that
I'm,
work?
I'm not sure about that. I really don't know. There's a lot of questions that I haven't asked because whenever I'm doing this, I'm just so in awe of what I'm doing. I'm like a deer in headlights sometimes, and the questions just don't come out of me. I'm just like, okay, this is what you're going to do. Okay, okay. So I don't know the answers to a lot of that, and of course, there's a lot of it I probably don't want to know the answers to. So, but I don't know the answer to that. I think a lot of it has to do with family lineage, though.
Mm, very interesting. Yes, I could, we could all see that when you're doing a mission, the last thing you want to do is sit there and say, wait a second, what about this? And what about that? That's
All I'm doing is trying to, is this going to be successful? Can I do this?
exactly,
Can I save
exactly.
this extraterrestrial or human? Can I get them out of here safely? And
And
then
look at it, yeah.
give them
And look,
some medical attention and energy work. Yeah, that's all that
mhm,
I'm on.
exactly. The questions you would probably have to do sit down with them and say, hey, I have a few questions. I have them all written down. Can I just hand you the list?
Well, what I was just saying before is that a lot of times I just don't know the questions to ask.
Right, right. That's why, I would be the one that would write them down,
Mhm.
because I'm in the middle of my mission or whatever it is, and I would write them down and say, okay, as I go along in a little notepad, because my brain sometimes doesn't remember what I had for dinner, never mind,
Yeah.
these questions.
Yeah, on my channel when I'm doing, like, even tomorrow I'm doing where I'm just answering people's questions who are
Right.
having terrestrial experiences. And so they're asking great questions that I wouldn't even think of asking. So I
Mhm.
get a lot of help from just being in a group of people who have questions to ask that I can actually ask them at that point in time and then bring back the answer.
Very good. All right, we have one more. Kathy, uh, you muted yourself, Kathy.
I don't know what happened there. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, so I have a question about the telepathy. So does it work the same way whether it's extraterrestrials or with human, or have you experienced a telepathy with the humans? Does it matter? It's the same thing? You can just speak, you hear someone and you say things and they just hear you. Is it like that?
Well, for me, it's usually putting visions in my head.
Oh,
More than words come with it, but it's more visions. And the visions to me explain the situation so much faster than any words. They'll put the scene there and you understand it immediately because you're already getting the visual, in your, well, I guess hearing. But anyway, I usually get most of the time it's visions. And that's in the beginning, it was just voices, and then it developed into they would pop a scene in my head to understand it.
okay. And so is that kind of also using well, I guess your third eye, like people would in that respect with that gift, kind of a combination?
Well, I think that would be all third eye.
Oh, okay. Because I've experienced telepathy, um, where, there was no speaking, but we knew exactly what we were saying, like, to each other, and communicating. So I was just wondering if it's the same thing, but you're saying you also, but I could see since it's different, you would need a little extra help, and the visuals would help you, right, with what you do.
I the visuals help a lot. You know, that's what they call me. They call me the communicator, just because I'm communicating between the seen and unseen. Um,
Right.
and then I'm bringing the messages out here. So from the very beginning, that's what they called me, was a communicator.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, there is a question. Melissa, she wants to learn how to fly a spaceship. She's also a pilot in a single engine. I guess she's asking how can she request a
She's already doing it. Who's
uh,
asking?
Melissa Award. Melissa, you need to.
Is Melissa there?
Melissa, you're still there? Yeah, she's
I
still there.
Yeah, I think she's already flying a spaceship.
Ah!
She's just not conscious of it.
Right. There you are, Melissa.
So,
We can't hear you now.
okay, now you can hear me.
Yes.
yes, I think that what they're telling me is you're already flying a spaceship. You're just not remembering it and not conscious of it. But when you're sleeping at night, you're leaving your body and doing that kind of work.
I do remember parts of it now and then.
Right.
So I've been wondering.
Yes. So you're already doing it.
There you go. There you go.
Interesting. Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome.
Any other questions or anything? Well, I think Quantum Doug wanted to know when is the big reveal. Do you happen to know that?
No, no, yeah, I just touched on a little bit of that earlier. The big reveal, well, they've changed it. The big reveal is the people who are already here that are extraterrestrials in human skin, or who are hybrids, or who are walk-ins, will be revealing themselves. They're already integrated in the family. They're already integrated in their community, and they're already loved how they are. So when they reveal themselves, who they are, then it won't be as shocking. And then we'll be used to it. And then they'll be able to explain when the so-called big reveal comes. They'll be explaining, oh, well, my cousin is an extraterrestrial, or my brother is, and nothing's happening, that's okay. So for the big reveal, I thought it was going to be in 2024. And when all that happened was the drones happening in December, and I was like so disappointed and deflated. So I've quit trying to predict since then. I'm going, okay, I'm not going to say anything ever again about that. But that part I do know that, is coming from the grounds roots people now revealing it. They're contacting each individual. And the only reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is because of that mantis being sitting in my car. I said yes when he said, will you work with us? And I said yes. If I had said no, he would have gone to the next person, and more than likely I would not have ever remembered that experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's see, there's another question. Is it possible to be an ET and not know it yet?
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Is there anything else you would like to share with us, Dr. Gail?
I can't think of anything. I think a lot of people, the reason why you're either not interacting with them or seeing them is from fear. And so if you can move from your head to your heart, whenever you're coming in existence or you see something strange or some energy that's different, look at your heart, see how you feel, because the first thing you can do visually is want to run. So move it, try to move it to your heart. And if it feels good and it's not a threatening kind of energy, then it's okay to communicate with them. Otherwise, if you're feeling it's threatening from your heart, then you need to move away from it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And this was great. And show your books up again so people can see them.
Well, my first
And
book is How I Learned to Fly a Spaceship. That's the
there you
first
go.
one. And my second one is How I Met an Alien.
Perfect. And they could both be found in Amazon?
Both are on Amazon.
Good, great.
I'm working on a third one now.
All right, I can't wait now. Well, I just want to say thank you very much. This was great tonight. I appreciate it and very enlightening. A lot of things were touched on that most people don't even realize or had any knowledge of it. So we really truly appreciate it. And I want to say thank you to the audience, those here and those that will watch this later. Please do remember to go and sign up at the Conscious Awakening Network, where you could see not just tonight's show, but any and all other shows that are there. And um, Thursday, we'll have Susie uh, as the host, and she will be bringing a special guest. And I think it's I don't even remember who you have on your list. I know, but it is a good guest,
As soon
and I
as they
just want
send
to
them, as soon as they send them to me, I'll interview them.
say she is taking over for Phil Gruber for a while until he is capable of coming back. And we all need our respites every once in a while and just stay away from everything. So this is good. He's taking care of himself and we're taking care of what needs to get done. So thank you again. And as always, all right. See you next week and love you. Bye.
Bye.
And
Thank you, Dr. Gail. Beautiful, beautiful. Big hug.